why Spurs start so slowly, particularly at home. And as much as I've been harping on about it was a good performance on the weekend, again, it was another slow start for Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Why do you think that is, Kate? Why do we start so slow? You know, the trumpet comes out, when the Spurs, the fans get going, and then it's just a bit of a drab start. A lot of times recently.
We haven't scored in a first half at home for 6 games.
6 games, yeah. It's a long time, Kate. Why do you think that is?
I'd love to know the answer, as I'm sure Ange Postecoglou would, because I've been racking my brains trying to work it out, but yeah. I haven't got an answer for it. I don't want to say it's lack of confidence, because I don't see why it would be. The fans are up for it. You hear the fans, it should be enough to lift them. I don't know what the answer is, and I'm sure if I did, and if Ange did, they'd sort it out. But I honestly, I've no idea. I mean, it expands back to Conte as well. It was the second half FC, and it seems to be carrying over. And I just don't understand it. I expect us to come flying out the traps, and every game it's the same. So as much as I'd love to give you a really in-depth answer as to why I think it is, I've absolutely no idea.
Your guess is as good as mine, Kate. Don't worry about it. Amir, do you have any insight for us why we start so slow?
Put Scooby-Doo on the case, because there's a mystery in town. You know what I mean? I can't figure it out either. I honestly, it's one of those things that it's you try and rack your brain and come up with reasons. Is it nerves? Is it lack of confidence? Is it that they don't quite know the Ange ball yet? Is it the players coming in and out? And you don't know. It's a guessing game. It's really take your pick. But what it comes down to for me, right, is eventually we've got 12 games to go, is it? Something like
around
that?
About, I think we're on 27, I think we're at. So about 11 games to go.
11 games to go, right?
No, we're on 26, sorry.
Oh, yeah, 12 games to go, Amir.
Okay, so 12 games to go, right? You're looking in those 12 games. If I was Ange, I'd be saying, lads, let's just get one in the first 15, 20 minutes, get the ball rolling early and push on from there. Let's make it, put it down as a goal to let's get on the score sheet as early as possible and see where we can, go and put a team to bed. Teams like Luton coming up, teams like that. You're looking to really try and put a stamp of authority, and show where we are. The same way the other teams are doing. So I'd love to see that. Why? Yeah, take your pick of reasons. It's very hard to say.
It is strange, isn't it? Because sometimes in these games where we've been starting slow, in the first 5 minutes, I would say we actually look really good, and I'll be sitting there in a stadium looking to look, we've come out the traps really fast today, and then suddenly we just revert back into our shell, and for the rest of the half we just look so lackluster. It's very hard to put your finger on what the actual reason is, but Sim, my brother's a student of the game. Maybe he can tell us.
Well, the odd thing is this run of games at home. So we've not scored in the first half for 6 games in a row at home, but that's followed a run of we've taken the lead in the 7 games before that, and all in the first half. So the script is completely flipped, where before we went for a run where we kept scoring early and then giving up the game and losing, and now we seem to be struggling in the first half. We seem to concede the first goal, and we seem to be able to turn it around. So it's a really strange kind of phenomenon why we haven't been able to score in the first half, and why we're struggling to break teams down. I think Maddison, in an interview after the game, actually was talking about it, and he was alluding to the fact that, look, these teams come and they try to stop us playing their football, and they're chasing the ball a lot, and when they start those games they got a lot of energy, but the way we force these teams to defend, it takes a lot out of them, and it's very tiring. And it takes a lot of energy out of these teams. And that's why late in the game, as much as they can defend in this way for, 60, 70 minutes, by the time we get to the last 15 minutes or so, they are starting to tire, not just physically, but mentally as well, having to track all these runners, see where we'll follow the rotations. And it gets too much at the end. And that's why they're being made to pay late in the day. I also think if you look at the fixtures we've had in these last kind of 6 games, a lot of them are against teams who do play a back 5, Brentford, Brighton, Brighton played a back five, I believe. Wolves played a back five. You got Palace now who played a back five as well in that. So there's a lot of teams there who definitely like to play counter-attacking football, like to soak up pressure, like to be very compact with a lot of defenders and almost like a back five as well. So it's a lot more difficult to kind of break through those kind of elements, and maybe it takes time, it takes patience to do that. So I do think how Ange sets up his team is the goal is to come flying up the traps, unsettle the opposition early on, and try and get a goal early to kind of insert yourself in the game and ruin the opposition's game plan. In recent weeks, that we haven't been able to do that for one reason or another, whether it be missing crucial chances early on or just haven't been clinical enough in those early points of the game to really break the deadlock. But what I would say is before this run of games, I think we were far top of the league for goals inside the first 15 minutes. So that is something we did have in our locker very early on. But for some reason, recently, that has abandoned us a bit, and we need to get back to that. Maybe it's just a case of I don't know, maybe having Sonny in there in the number 9 will make us more fluid and give us opportunities to score early on. It's tough to put your finger on why it is, but it's an interesting phenomenon to point your finger on why it's changed so much from earlier in the season.
But I mean, that period that you're talking about, we had our first choice 11 week in, week out, those first 10 games of the season, right? And ever since then, our team's got completely diminished. And yes, players have come back, like James Maddison, Rodrigo Bentancur, Bissouma, everyone's come back from the international tournaments, but they haven't put in their best displays as of yet. I mean, Maddison's been okay, but he hasn't been the Maddison of the first 10 games of the season. So maybe it's just us feeling our way back from those injuries.
But it's not just that, because I'm looking at the period where we had those injuries. We lost 5 in a row, or we lost 4 and drew 1. In every single one of those games, we took the lead early on. So it's really difficult to put your finger on why at the moment we're struggling so much early on, whereas before that was what our biggest strength was early on in the game.
But so maybe in those first 5 games we were running on momentum a little bit after a really good start to the season, and then it kind of just reverted back to what these players' types actually are.
I mean, maybe. I mean, it would seem to be quite... I mean, I'm looking at the run of fixtures, and literally after that Chelsea game, even in that Chelsea game we took the lead early as well, we pretty much took the lead early in like every single one of those games up until the new year. Literally up until the new year, that's been the kind of the sticking point. Since the new year, we've only scored in the first half against Everton and Man United. Those are the only 2 games we scored in the first half against. So, and those are both away from home. Before that, we pretty much in every game I can see. Before that, we've scored in the first half. So, it's really difficult to know what has changed or why that is.
Do you think maybe, Kate, it's a case of teams working out the way we like to play, the way we like to come out the blocks really fast, and maybe teams making it specifically extremely tight and extremely hard for us to score early in games?
Yeah, I think that's quite possible. At the end of the day, you know, Ange is very set in how he plays, and I think teams are realising that we're going to come out all guns blazing, and they try and contain us early on and be extra tight. But it's frustrating because I expect us to be able to get around those things. But at the end of the day, it is the start of a project. It's only a few months that Ange has been in charge, and they've got to learn this system. So it's something that next season, hopefully, we'll see more sort of the team being able to cope with a low block, and these teams kind of sussing us out. I hate that term, sussing us out, but you know, hopefully once they've sort of got this system down to a T, maybe with some new personnel as well, and everybody's firing on the same from the same gun, and the fitness levels as well. You know, I'm still not convinced that they're all up to this fitness levels that they need to be to play Ange ball. As you know, you've only got to watch Celtic to see how intense it can be. So all these factors, like I say, it is just the start of a project. We've got to be a little bit patient, I think, before it all clicks into place.
Yeah, do you agree with that, Amir? We need to be a bit patient, because there is a case to say, like, when Ange came to the Premier League, it was a brand new manager. They had to work out the way he plays. And then once they do work out, teams got to keep evolving, don't they?
They do keep evolving. And I think, you know, what you mentioned there, Kate, I think one of it is key to solving, you know, some of our issues is the new additions to the squad. Ange has got now his summer window coming up. And, you know, you're looking for certain types of players that will fit that squad perfectly and come into the team and really offer something different. And
you ain't going to mention Kavicha, are you, again?
No, I'm not. I wasn't even going to mention him today. I mean, he did score a phenomenal goal this weekend against Juventus. But no, it's that type of player though that gets you off your feet. You don't know whether he's going left or right. You don't know whether he's going to shoot or pass or put it in the top bins. So, I think we will see Ange Ball improving as those new additions come in. But I do think that the way he's. What's more important than Ange Ball at this second and where we're at in terms of getting there? I think the most important thing that Ange has done is unified the club. So when you're looking at what he's done on a club level, the under-21s, the 18s, the style of football, the connection between the fans and the club again, and the players, and even the bond between those players. Did you see all the players come off and celebrate together? It's phenomenal. So we've really got to take our hat off to Ange and give him that bit of patience, give him that support. It's fine to criticize and if you think he's made a decision wrong here or there on a sub to see what can be done there. But overall, he's been phenomenal. And I think you just got to give him that time to get Ange Ball to where he wants, get the machine purring to the level that we want to see, which is putting teams like Palace to bed 5-6-0, right? We'd love to see that. And I think we will get there. These last 12 games, I think there will hopefully be a few drop-ins in there. I think the few sides should be very worried about coming up against us, to be honest with you.
And I think it's also a big testament to Ange just where we're at as a football club right now, because, the start of the season, Harry Kane going, everyone was saying Spurs are going to finish mid-table, Champions League's a pipe dream, Europa League even is a stretch for Tottenham Hotspur this season. For us to be where we're at this stage of the season and have a real fighting chance of making Champions League for next season, I think is only a testament to where Ange has put us right now, to be honest.
Yep. Fully agree.